Hi, this is Heather with another video directed at Extinction Rebellion. And I'm referring, I think, to XR UK based on Facebook posts. And possibly there have been some in the regular Extinction Rebellion Facebook page as well. Anyway, this is about citizens' assemblies. And as you know, I was part of Extinction Rebellion in the UK for the April 2019 rebellion. And we know that the three demands: tell the truth, declare a climate emergency, um, set a goal for 2050, um, have a citizens' assembly in order to decide how we meet that goal. So the UK government met all three demands. They set up a citizens' assembly, which met over, I think, 6 weekends in the spring of 2020. They published a report on what happened when they had, I think, 150 representatives from around the UK meet to listen to experts and make decisions. So I'm seeing a lot of posts right now around animal rebellion and the protesters gluing themselves around the speaker's chair in Parliament in London. The way Extinction Rebellion is writing these posts and the way the activists are portraying their protests, it's as if the demand for a citizens' assembly was never met. And yet it was met. So I think it's difficult when you're in the media and you're trying to get a point across very easily to the public. It's difficult to engage with complexity. But I don't want Extinction Rebellion to ignore its own history. The demand was met. So what happened? Why wasn't that good enough? Is it good enough to continue to demand a citizens' assembly on climate and ecological breakdown when the demand was met already? So there were all kinds of flaws, right, that I'm sure that they want to bring out, but they should say what they are. Because a lot of the people who are commenting and sharing the post, multiple posts, are acting as if they're not aware that the demand was already met and what was wrong with it and what they need to demand differently to make it effective. So some people are saying, well, it was only advisory. It wasn't obligatory that the recommendations be implemented. Well, what would need to happen for it to be made obligatory so that it was not just advisory? Brexit was just advisory and it was implemented. Political will, right? Another issue, who are the experts? How were they chosen so that the urgency that XR demands would be taken into account? In terms of animal rebellion, the issue of veganism and food and farming was raised, and the recommendations were not for them to go vegan. It was about voluntary reduction in meat. So this recommendation was already made in the Citizens' Assembly. What was wrong with it? Why do protesters feel like that wasn't enough? Obviously, it's not enough. But why? So how is a new Citizens' Assembly going to change the outcome this time? And if we look at the people who say, well, the Citizens' Assembly was looking at 2050, and that's just not good enough. Well, the Citizens' Assembly listened to the experts, and only 30% thought that 2050 wasn't soon enough. So let's look at the complexity of a citizens' assembly and the outcomes and what happens when you take 150 representatives from the UK who all have a particular similar ideology about things and ask them to make decisions based on a few experts over 6 weekends. What's wrong? What's right with this process? What is XR demanding? What are the protesters demanding? And the supporters of those protests, do they understand? Do they know that this already happened and what the outcome was? That's all I'm asking, is that we don't ignore XR's own history with citizens' assemblies and what happened, and that we don't ignore the complexity and face it and address it when we're in this discussing citizens' assemblies in the social media and getting all this publicity for gluing themselves on and for stopping dairy farmers from distributing milk. They're demanding a citizens' assembly. That's all they're saying. And yet that demand was met. So let's discuss the complexity and the history over what actually happened.